My next move to Harwood Andrews was an improvement to the quality of my life, but there was still something missing. Over time, I get to realize that traditional law firms are all the same. The structures of a law firm are very different from running a business. In a law firm, you have people right at the top dictating every single aspect of the organization. And the structure at the top removes your personality. You have to conform or be used and churned out. That's the traditional law firm. I always wondered why different partners would move from law firm to law firm to law firm. And for myself, I came to realize that it didn't matter what law firm I went to. There was always going to be this sense of unfulfillment, this sense of I can't be myself. I should be happy. After all, I've got a law degree. I'm an Australian qualified lawyer, and I've got my Australian permanent residency. But as I continued to work in the law, I still had this profound sense of unfulfillment. I started questioning my entire purpose. Is this what my life is going to be for the rest of my life? It was painful. I was profoundly unhappy and unfulfilled. I needed to interrupt my journey. Sometimes in life you have no idea that you're unfulfilled or that you're purposeless. You just have this sense that there's something's missing, but you can't articulate it. And sometimes then you second guess yourself because you should be grateful for what you have. That's what I did. I second guessed myself. I should be grateful for what I have. After all, I'm one of the lucky ones. I left Zimbabwe. I'm in Australia. I've got food on my table. I've got a home. I'm working in a firm. I'm generating income. I should be happy, but I'm not. Questioning my happiness felt like I was being ungrateful for everything that I had. My whole life was about becoming a successful lawyer. And now I was. But inside, I felt alone, trapped, scared, and I was dead inside. While I was at Harwood Andrews, the Property Institute introduced a new program. It was a mentoring program for people in the property industry, for young guns in the property industry. I applied. They had over 800 applications and they were only going to choose 25. I was one of the only ones selected. I was very grateful for this opportunity. So now in this cohort of 25 people, we're going to be matched with a leader in the property industry to empower us to take our career to the next level. I was thrilled because at this point in time in my life, I was feeling that sense of purposelessness and unfulfillment in life. We were matched by a behavioral consultant to our mentor. I remember my first day of my meeting with my mentor, an international urban planner, Roz Hansen. As I walk into the meeting room, I see this woman beaming, larger than life. She's wearing her leopard print outfit and she has got this orangey, reddish hair. I'm shocked. I've never really seen many powerful women who dare to be fully themselves, wearing colorful outfits. As I sat down, I instinctively knew that we were a match made in heaven. Roz saw me for who I was. In our first conversation, she looked at me and said, "There's nothing that you have said to me that tells me that you're passionate about a property career. You're here really wanting to make a difference to people's lives. I looked at her and I didn't know whether to affirm it or not. Was this wrong or good? Was it wrong that she heard something different? Because I'm in a mentoring program that's meant to take my career to the next level in the property industry. But this woman, Rose Hansen, is telling me that's not what she's hearing from me. I don't know whether to affirm her or not, because then would I get kicked out of the mentoring program? I take a risk and I say, yes, I really want to make a difference to other people. I don't think I found my calling yet. She looks at me and smiles and says, I know I'm meant to take your career in property to the next level. We're not going to do that. We're going to go on a different adventure to explore what's possible for you. My heart leapt with joy. I felt somebody was hearing me and seeing me for exactly who I was. I no longer had to follow the legal template of success. I could now follow my heart's template of success. One thing I realized by working with Roz was that even though I had now accomplished what I had wanted to accomplish since I was a 14-year-old boy, coming to Australia, now I'm an Australian qualified lawyer and I have permanent residency. I didn't know how to use my life for the rest of my life. I felt lost and directionless. Rose Hansen was my biggest champion. She inspired hope that I could leave the legal profession and move into the business community, or pursue whatever I wanted, really. For me, Rose represented possibility and hope. She backed me 100%, and that is exactly what I needed. And I didn't even know that's what I needed. So, we go on this journey to transition out of the law and into the business community. There were many obstacles. One of the obstacles was that many of the business owners wanted me to have done an MBA. I did not have an MBA. I realized that I needed to become a powerful decision maker and take control of my life. How I thought I was going to do that was by becoming a CEO or a director in a company. And that is why I had to join the business community. So, to do that, Roz introduced me to her network. She introduced me to CEOs of major companies, directors of major companies. She opened up her entire life to me. And for that, I will be forever grateful. I networked my ass off for nearly a year, and there was nothing. There were no opportunities for me. I felt defeated. But I realized that I still had a back door. I was still clinging onto my legal career with one hand and not fully letting that go. I hadn't fully given myself to creating the opportunity to move into the business community. So I drew the line in the sand. I gave my resignation notice at Harwood Andrews. I had 2 months of savings, and I created a game for myself that I was going to find a job within 2 months, no matter what. No back door. I gave myself fully to moving into my new career. This was going to be the making of me. I was either going to make it or fail. There was no back door. I had drawn the line in the sand. I had 2 months of savings, 2 months to create an opportunity. 1 month goes by, nothing. I have 2 weeks before I run out of money. And I had this opportunity to do this presentation with the Australian African Business Council for the new Australian High Commissioner to Nigeria. I put my heart and my soul into this brief. I didn't have to operate that way, but I did anyway. I researched things about trade. I highlighted opportunities between Nigeria and Australia. On the day of the meeting, I'm in the room. The Australian High Commissioner to Nigeria is in the room. The president of the Australian African Business Council is in the room. The founder of the Jusseur Foundation is in the room. The meeting was off the charts. Everybody was impressed with what I had created. Once the meeting was finished, I was walking with Di Fleming and Matthew Jacobson. As I was walking down Collins Street, Matt looks at me and asks me, "So what are you doing with your life at the moment?" I tell him that I had just quit the law and that I was looking for an opportunity to work in the business community or go off and do an MBA. Matt looked at me and said, "Why did you come and work for me?" I was shocked. I wasn't expecting this at all. This had just come out of the blue for me. In that moment, I had to stand and create something for myself. I didn't want to come across as desperate or needy. I really wanted to go after something that would make me become a business leader. I look back at him and I respond. I said, "Thank you so much, Matt. This would be amazing." And then I said to him, "If I'm going to come and work for you, I want to learn to be an entrepreneur. I want to come to all your meetings, and I will do all the follow-ups for you." He looked at me, he smiled, he nodded, and he said, "That's fine." Then he said to me, "Come into my office tomorrow and we can negotiate the terms." I was over the moon. I had an opportunity to fully explore my entry into the business world. And I had only 2 weeks worth of savings left. I made it! The next morning I arrived at 161 Collins Street, the offices of Jusseur. They were lavish, they were beautiful. Jusseur was amazing. Jusseur was an educational company that had created and was creating leadership, business, and management courses by interviewing global leaders around the world and filming case studies from these global leaders so that students around the world had access to the voices of global leaders. So it was kind of like democratizing knowledge. And I get to be part of that. In addition, Jusseur had the foundation. They were creating peace centers in Africa, in Botswana, Zambia, South Africa. They had a children's literacy program where they were capturing the stories of children. My stories were being written down. I never grew up reading many African stories. One of the only books I read in Zimbabwe was by a Nigerian author, Chinua Achebe, Things Fall Apart. But what we were doing was that the children would get to write out the stories their grandmothers were sharing with them. We're going to publicize them. They get to have them in their own schools. And there was going to be an inter-African continental exchange of these stories. That was exciting for me. I felt Jusseur was making a huge difference. And I was going to be part of it. When I walked into Matt's office, I sat down. And again, we created our relationship. I reiterated that I wanted to learn to be a business person and that I wanted to go to every single meeting and I'll do the follow-ups. He agreed for me to do that. In addition, we created my role to negotiate with the TAFEs and universities, partnerships. So I was going to shadow him and learn how he was going to be doing that, how he talked about his company, getting to the source of the vision, the values of the company. In addition, I negotiated a salary for myself. I took a 20% pay cut. Giselle was a startup and did not have many resources. And I was around the fourth employee. In the 2 years that I worked there, Giselle became a multinational. We had hundreds of employees in different countries. Australia, the United States, Canada, the UK, Mauritius, etc. And I was the fourth employee. We got to interview presidents, prime ministers, CEOs of Fortune 500 companies, Nobel Prize winners. The list goes on and on and on. It included people like Desmond Tutu, John Howard, Baroness Amos, etc. I was living the dream.